Kia ora and good afternoon everyone. Welcome to Taupō District Council meeting for, what are we, April? April, not May yet. Yeah. Welcome everyone, councillors, deputy mayor, members of the public, staff, executive. Good to see you all. Could we just arise please to do our karakia? Tue ki te Māori o te whenua, tue ki te mana o te tangata, tue ki te pono, te araha, kia piki, kia eki, kia te maratata, ue tai kiai. Thank you very much. Okay, no change in the agenda. Karen, all as is. Thank you very much. Apologies. Do I have any apologies? We have Councillor Truman and Councillor Fletcher. Otherwise a full house. Could I have a mover that they be accepted? Thank you very much. Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Shepherd. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Very good. Any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items today?
Well, through the chair.
Yes, Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I've just questioned persistent censorship of elected members and withholding of crucial information. I question if that meets our obligation of transparent governance. That is my perceived conflict of interest here today.
Okay, thank you. And the meeting will be recorded and uploaded later to the Council's YouTube channel. So item 4.1, confirmation of minutes that were held on the 25th of March. Do I have any amendments to those minutes? Happy with those, true and accurate. Thank you. Could I have a mover that those minutes be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Councillor Lachlan, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Item 5.1, local water done well, approval of options for consultation. I'd like to introduce Joe Walton and Tony Hale here from our Waters team. Good afternoon, team. How are you?
Good afternoon, Your Worship, elected members. Very well, thank you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. Kia ora koutou.
Kia ora.
Okay, I'll start. But firstly, you've got a paper in front of you. I'm not intending to go over all the detail of the paper, so I will take it as read, but I just wanted to maybe just touch on a few things before we go into any questions. Firstly, I'd just like to thank my team who have been doing a huge amount of work in the background on this paper for quite some time now, and you'll be familiar with the content over the last 12 months with Local Waters Done Well, which is the government's change in direction when it comes to water reform. In some respects, I might sound like a bit of a scratched record, and I apologise for that, but we've had a lot of content to get through. We've had multiple workshops. You've had presentations from the DIA, from Waikato Water Done Well. You've had some drop-in sessions. We've had a steering group established, and we've had some independent feedback from a consultancy just to kind of give us a few checks and balances with some of the work that we've done. So there's an awful lot of information that's been gathered over 12 months or so. But some of the biggest challenge areas have actually been in the financial space. And some very last minute fine-tuning with some of those as we've been trying to just compare apples with apples, which isn't actually always quite as easy case to do. So you've got some options in front of you for consultation. So I would just remind you that this is for the consultation content currently at this moment in time, to get an idea from our community what their view is on where water services should be provided in the future. No decisions were made at this time. We've got until June to do that. And just to again also reiterate, this is not our time frame. This is the government's time frame. We have to submit a water service delivery plan on the 3rd of September. And obviously I'm very aware that we're moving into election period as well. So we've got some time frames that we're trying to satisfy there. And we'll be going out to our communities for approximately a 4-week consultation period with attending some market days and various things to get that messaging out there. So you have the paper in front of you, you have the options, and you'll have councillors' recommendations staff officers' recommendations. We haven't got there yet, beg your pardon. Option 1, and that is an in-house business unit. that's really what I've got to say on the matter. I've got the team around the chambers. If we get any questions, we will do our best to answer those. But just to reiterate again, there's an awful lot of content which we've been doing our best to share with you and divulge with you. Your Worship.
Cool, thank you, Tony. So we're going to have three options, correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
1, 2 and 3, yep, sure.
There's 3 options on the table there.
Okay, Joe, nothing to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot of this material. It has been challenging, like Tony said, getting everything available to you, and it is a lot to take in. But yeah, our recommendation is that we consult on the 3 options, and our preferred option being the in-house business unit. The reasons for that is we consider it the lowest risk option at this point in time. It still gives us options to consider in future things, but like Tony said, we're just going out for consultation, and then final decision will be made by councillors before we submit our water services plan.
Cool. Thank you, Joe. I'd just like to welcome Councillor Fletcher. I believe he's online now. Correct?
Yep, correct.
Yep, oh, you're down the bottom. Karen, kia ora and good afternoon, Karen. Bye. Cool, kia ora. Right, any questions of the team this afternoon? Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Tony and Joe. I know we've all sat and listened to your results of your hours and hours of work, and it's been extremely interesting, if nothing else, and the decisions that we're going to make today are going to have long-term effects on our, well, they're not decisions, but moving towards it for our district. In option 1, I'd just like you, for the benefit of people who may be listening, talk a little bit more about Council joining Waikato Water as a limited shareholder. Just explain to us a little bit more in detail what that would mean for the district.
Well, I can see the eyes looking at me, so perhaps I'll answer that one, Councillor Greenslade. So this was an option that was put forward for us to be able to access the shared services and perhaps some of the procurement opportunities that may be available through a joined-up entity. So there's further work to be undertaken between now and June in terms of the costs and benefits of that option. But basically, it would enable us as Taupō District to be able to access ideally shared services or cheaper procurement opportunities.
It's me.
Councillor Campbell, and then back to Councillor Greenslade.
Oh, do you want to finish? Yep.
Thank you very much. So from the Waikato Services point of view, this is not a problem from their point of view. They're quite comfortable with us joining in this capacity.
Yeah, so the councils have been meeting for quite some time. You'll recall we brought a paper back to you, and even in December around a heads of agreement to continue. And that negotiation will continue right up until June. So they are comfortable. They know that this is something that is being put forward to the council today for you to consider. But there's further negotiation to continue between now and June when you make final decisions. But they are comfortable.
Councillor Campbell.
Just to clarify, I don't absolutely disagree with the direction we're heading, but I do have a question, and I'll back it up with a statement as well. I mean, how do you think I or the public are expected to critically evaluate options when evidence of key leadership experience has been withheld and opportunity for independent third-party evaluation has been blocked on the grounds of nondescript confidentiality assertions? Now, I'll just add to that. This I view as a lack of transparency, which unfortunately gives me cause to suspect that things are being hidden. I mean, in my own realm of expertise in transportation, I have identified shortcomings in the way this council goes about things, which would get missed by lay people. So these aforementioned issues of mine have markedly reduced my own confidence in the recommendation of this paper, and I will not be assenting to it. I just want to also note that not until after the last workshop we had on this about a month ago have we been given any reading material at all. of any consequence relating to this, and that was the workshop which elected members agreed to go along with this proposed way forward, again, which I'm not absolutely against, but I have these great reservations. So the question, if you remember the question, how is the public to have confidence in these assertions in this proposed way forward?
Tony, you want to answer?
For your chair, I believe that the content that we'll be circulating with our consultation documentation is pretty rigorous, and there's quite a lot of examples what we'll be sharing when we go out for consultation around so I believe that there's a significant amount of content there that our communities will find very useful.
Just perhaps to add, paper actually points out that there's been multiple workshops over the last 12 months on this topic. You've also had a steering group which has consisted of several councillors for perhaps pretty much that entire time frame, which have been working through this. I don't believe it is correct to say that councillors have had no information. I can even recall back in December, I think it was, when we brought the heads of agreement to you, which was a very large paper, and you made a decision to be able to continue through that process. So take the councillors' points, but perhaps just point also page 11 of the agenda, which outlines some of the processes that we have followed to enable the councillors to be able to participate in the decision-making process.
Any other questions of... Oh, do you want to go again?
Yes, please.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I'm not saying we never got any information. I'm saying usable information to be able to get a third-party expert review. But if I'll just add something here, which is a statement, but a question as well. Actually, it's a question for you guys. We already heard from the Department of Internal Affairs, who seem to think we have quite high operating costs. I assume that correlates to staff numbers. In addition, I was able to tell within a few minutes of being introduced to the Turangi land disposal scheme a couple of years ago that it's not an environmental regulatory requirement, but is almost being done solely for cultural reasons, and yet I don't believe that's been made transparently clear to the public, who are expected to pay for it to the tune of 20 million. Now, these consultation documents here frame the preferred enhanced in-house model as a path of least resistance, and I agree it makes a lot of sense. But it seems to me that any CCO, this is the alternative options, any CCO or of independent directors with a priority to address the fiscal bottom line would be asking some pretty probing questions about matters as these I've just mentioned. I'm not entirely convinced an overseeing government body will be sufficient. So, here's the question here. What assurances do we have for constituents that questions like these will be addressed if essentially it's the same people running the show as before?
Tony, you have
Through the chair, good question. And I'm confident that you would have heard of multiple workshops, that we know the future will be a lot more scrutiny from the Commerce Commission. And we know we've already got Taumata Arawai, so in effect we're going to be having two regulators there who are gearing themselves up to have a lot more scrutiny of the work that we do and how we perform, whether it be efficiencies, etc., within the three water space. So we know that's coming, and actually we've got already ourselves as an organisation, and part of our water service delivery plan will be ring fencing a lot of the operation and costs that are associated with Three Waters, separating it out from a lot of other council overheads. So we've got quite a lot of work to do in that space, and I've no doubt that there will be a lot more questions in the future from our regulators as to how we are performing.
Councillor Leonard.
Oh, she said,
Councillor Taylor.
thank you. Thanks for that answer, Tony. Having been one of the councillors on the steering group, I can give an absolute assurance that the volume and the quality of the information is more than sufficient for us as elected members to make the decisions that we need to make today around what we consult on and hear from our constituents. Further to that, in terms of the position we're in at the moment, you could argue we're a victim of our own efficiency and success, and we are an outlier in the other Waikato councils because we have invested wisely and prudently for a long period of time, and our water services infrastructure is in some respects light years ahead of our peers. And I don't wish to criticise any other councils, but in fact the argument is more compelling that we have done a really good job, which is why it's being presented. We leave it in-house at the moment, not that we need to go anywhere else because we haven't been doing a good job. In fact, opposite is true. In terms of the cost of this, and I'm looking at Sarah across the way, my understanding from DIA and Commerce Commission is around our funding options and how we go about funding this. And without giving incorrect information here, it's around the use of debt to fund infrastructure over a longer term, that the model being used in the collective is being punted up, not what we are doing. So if I could defer to Sarah to perhaps fill in the gaps on that.
Yeah, so through the chair, from an affordability perspective, we're certainly in the lower end of the Waikato councils that we obviously have looked to form the entity with. I wasn't here for the DIA presentation, so apologies, but operating costs from a water service delivery perspective are really hard to compare apples with apples because we've obviously got quite a long distribution network. We've got, geographical size is different to a lot of councils. However, if you look at things like the No Worse Off funding, we were actually receiving quite a small number in comparison to other councils our size. So I don't believe our operating costs actually from an overhead perspective is high. So again, I can't reference Marlon's comments because I wasn't here, but...
That's fine. So just through your chair, just one other comment in terms of confidence we can have in the qualifications and the experience and expertise of the team. The fact that our water services infrastructure is in the state that it is in is testament enough to the skills and experience and knowledge of the team delivering that on behalf of our communities. And I think we should be thankful that we have such quality staff delivering a good job, which has presented us with the dilemma around joining Waikato Waters in the first place.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Right,
Through the chair.
Councillor Williamson.
I think Deputy Mayor's pinched my speech. I can only support him in totally. There's been complete transparency and all information has been disseminated to all councillors in a timely fashion. I think once this consultation goes out for the month, there'll be time for people to look at it, be critical thinking about it, and come back with their submissions and hearings in a timely fashion. And it also, there's one thing over the whole thing of this is, it says in the summary here, we're keeping an open mind through the process and reassess the cost and benefits in 2 years, whether it's the political landscape or whether it's the health of our organisation, whatever. So I'm very happy with the way, and I'm actually in awe, almost all of the staff, the work they've put into this over the last 12 months. It's so wonderful. And as part of that working group was Rachel and Kevin Taylor as well. I applaud you for the work you've done.
Thanks, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Leonard? Councillor Leonard.
I just wanted to clarify that the purpose of item 5.1 is to approve the 3 options that go out to community consultation. So we don't have any preconceived definitions of the direction of travel, and this has come from central government under the Local Government Act, that we have to make a decision, otherwise they will make the decision for us, and we've got 3 options there, and we're now at the point of deciding, are they the 3 options that we take out to the members of our community? We're not actually deciding what we're going to do at this point. It's about the consultation and the 3 options being presented.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So we're deciding today what we will consult with the public on. That is a requirement of the Local Government Water Services Preliminary Arrangements Act. That Act had alternative consultation requirements separate to what was normally done under the Local Government Act. which meant that you only had to consult on your proposal and an alternative. One of those options had to be sort of the status quo, i.e. as you're delivering water services now. We've chosen to go slightly above and beyond that, and stick more closely to the Local Government Act consultation requirements, and offer the third option of the single CCO, and that's just to kind of give a full and complete picture, as we do think that could be a reasonable option if we decided that there was a reason to choose something different to the in-house model. Just to be clear, as far as regarding the predetermining option, obviously we want to go out to the public and get their views and hear from them as we make this decision. But the requirement, the Act does, say your proposal and an alternative. So it is expected that there would be kind of a preferred option given, so that the public is informed about what the direction we're leaning, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification, and I look forward to hearing from our community on their opinions.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Thank you, Joe. Councillor Shepherd.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just also wanted to acknowledge all the work that's gone into this. I know it was slow rolling out of legislation, and then the goalposts moved multiple times, so it was very difficult actually at times to get the full picture. And we have had a lot of information and a lot of context provided to us. I guess my concern is how do we get that out to the public in a way that they understand? So acknowledge all the work that's gone on, and certainly I know we've all done a lot of work to avail ourselves of all the information that we possibly can, so that we can answer these questions to our ratepayers. So looking forward to actually getting out there and doing what I can to help educate the ratepayers about this decision, because it is a major decision, and I'm very aware that it's almost impossible to get the level of context that's required to fully understand it out in a consultation document. So well done with what you've done, and now it's up to us to get out there and avail ourselves of as much information as we possibly can to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Joe, sorry.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'd just like to clarify a few points, Rachel, just in response to what you were saying. So it has been really hard to summarise the information. It's one of the challenges we've really grappled with, gone round and round in circles. If you cut too much out, then the context is missing, and it is hard to see what that is. But the information will all be going, assuming we decide today that consultation will start as of tomorrow, that information will be on our website in a succinct version as we can manage. The team's done a great job just kind of putting in some visuals and some graphics and making it simplified. And there will be sort of a one-page comparison, so you can see under the different options, what does it mean, who's going to make the decisions, how will I pay, that kind of thing. So hopefully all of those things will be useful as we go out. There'll be, the engagement team will be having a few community events at the markets, etc. So we'll be available to answer questions from the community at those as well. But yeah, I'd really like to thank all the team as well. They've worked really hard on all of this material.
Great, thanks, Joe. Any other questions, Joe? Councillor Westman.
That's great to hear, because it was on my mind how you're going to get that information out in that sort of format, and just to have a form on there with frequently asked questions that they can, I'm going to sit there and go, oh, well, what about this? And then bang, to have that information there will be really helpful.
You're right,
Yep,
Councillor Westman.
absolutely.
And just, it's up to us to be at these, be at these drop-in sessions. It's up to us to be involved. So appreciate your words, Councillor Shepherd and Councillor Westman. So very goodly. No other questions? All pretty straightforward? You happy with the wording? 1, 2 and 3? That's all right? All good? Okay, do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. And one abstention. Like that recorded, Councillor Campbell. Thank you. Right. 5.2, Annual Plan 25-26. Kendall. Good afternoon, Kendall.
Good afternoon, Mr Mayor and Councillors. So today we are seeking to confirm the draft financial direction for the 25-26 annual plan. Again, I won't go through the paper, but we'll take it as read. Just a few points. In preparing for this annual plan for the next financial year, staff have been reviewing the budgets and the work programs for the next financial year. A lot of effort has been put into identifying savings and efficiencies to reduce the impact on ratepayers, particularly when we've had a lot of unplanned expenses, particularly to our essential business costs, and new costs associated with local water done well. And these have needed to be factored into those equations when pulling together our budgets. This paper is presenting a rate increase of 8.4%. This is 0.1% higher than what was forecast for year 2 of the long-term plan. While marginally higher, it's not significantly different to the direction set in the long-term plan. Reduction to the operational budgets, such as staff training, the use of consultants, and also quite a significant one was looking at the reduced cost funding for DGLT, have meant that we've avoided a significant rate increase of over 10%. A number of trade-offs in relation to operational projects are outlined in the paper. These were presented for discussion earlier in March at a workshop, and I'm happy to take any questions on these or other questions on the annual plan.
Thank you, Kendall. Right, so the paper there. Any questions of Kendall? Councillor Lachlan?
Just a comment. Just appreciate all the good work you guys have done and trying to keep these rates down to what's still at a very difficult level, but nonetheless one that's consistent with our long-term plans. So just again want to reiterate the thanks to the team. A little bit anxious with the odd project that's been delayed slightly, but we'll find a way, I think, as we always do. Kia ora.
Thank you, Councillor Lachlan. Any other questions of Kendall? Councillor Campbell?
Yes, not really a question, a comment similar to last time. I mean, it's not really directed at you, Kendall, it's more at my fellow elected members. I will not be assenting to this annual plan for the same reasons I did not assent to the long-term plan last year. To briefly explain, briefer than last time, I have perceived an absence of critical thinking in some of the infrastructure spending, including the unexamined $70 million transport item still pending without the formally agreed to workshop some 10 months ago. In terms of the absence of public consultation this time round, I don't perceive that as too significant a matter, given that the 1,400 or so public submissions last time changed very little. And finally, I suppose the virtually zero interest in these chambers to the idea of voluntarily introducing some sort of rates capping regime to try and rein in these rate increases year after year has not exactly tinkled my bells very much either. So I'll leave it at that.
Councillor Taylor. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you very much, Kendall, and I certainly appreciate the difficult situation that you find yourself in, and I don't think there's a household in New Zealand that's not probably in exactly the same situation at present, but I just want to register my concern about the Turangi situation where we have been put on hold for a while, and we're very much looking forward to being able to sort of do some planning for our town centre. So that is a concern that I have, and that's the brickbat. But the other part of it is I'm very pleased to see that you've put mowing back a little bit, and that certainly meets with my favour, because if you know, I've been against the amount of mowing that has been going on, and to reduce rural mowing and certainly the urban mowing down, I think is a very good idea. I also think that the demolition of old buildings is something that really needs to be looked at very strongly, and it's such a negative thing to demolish old buildings, but it's such a bad look in a community to have old buildings hanging around. So I look forward to those things being reinstated as soon as we possibly can. Thanks, Kendall.
Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I note that in the agenda item there is a significant amount of detail, right down to items at $13,000 and $11,000. To say that no critical thinking has gone into this is a misrepresentation of the facts I've got right in front of me here. I just want to acknowledge there will be some frustration and pain out in the community because things that were expected to be delivered will not be delivered, and there will be delay. It's not that it's not going to happen, there will be some delay in doing that, and that is regrettable. I'm just in response to the previous speaker, the $70 million transport project, I do know what he's talking about, but that is on the long-term plan, one long-term plan, hence nothing in this plan has anything to do with a $70 million transportation project at all. And to leave that unresponded to would be a disservice to anybody listening to this. That project is still in the very, very early planning stages. In terms of rates capping, I can tell you that many of us around the table have conversed about that. While there's been no formal conversation, I've sat in a number of meetings where that has been presented to. And in terms of the budgets that have been presented to us, based on at least 3 Australian states who have a rates capping program, with all of the exclusions and exemptions that are applied to that, we would still come under any rates cap that would be applied. So it's a wonderful soundbite and a wonderful thing to say, but the reality is what we've been presented with, I think, is as close as we're ever going to get without a major cut to services. So I'm quite comfortable with the program.
Councillor Shepherd.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess I agree with the Deputy Mayor's words there. Not one of us, I'd imagine, I'll speak for myself, I certainly did not run for council in order to keep putting rates up. None of us do. I appreciate the work that the staff have done, going through line by line, seeing where every little penny can be saved. Watch the pennies, the pounds take care of themselves. And these trade-offs are really regrettable. They really are. You know, reduction of use of consultants leads to more in-house work, which leads to delays, and so it goes. None of us like to see this outcome, but, you know, we're here to make the big decisions, aren't we? That's what we voted to do, and it's not an easy job sometimes. So thank you for making it just that little bit easier for us.
Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just to elaborate, when I'm talking about absence of critical thinking sounds mean, but I mean, I'm talking about coming from an experienced eye in my profession of the transport thing. I have identified line items where, and have been unresponded to, where, in my judgment, they're spending multitudes more than they needed to, and I've seen evidence of that in the past. So that's primarily where I came from on that observation, and I suspect it's happening elsewhere. The $70 million transport project, I have great concerns, not least of the fact that myself and most of the other elected members were completely excluded from any part of that conversation, and I happen to be, that's my profession. That I just found that absurd. And lastly, just on the rates cap thing, I know that's a discussion to be had. I think if you're going to give, I think incentive. I've worked in councils before. I know what it's like. If you want to incentivise efficiency and better way of doing things, there has to be a lid on things. And right now there is no lid. That's how I see it.
Through
Very
the chair.
good. Councillor Williamson.
Look, yeah, I can only support Kevin where Duncan's been when he was sitting right next to Kevin Taylor trying to explain what we've been doing over a long-term plan, and Councillor Shepherd. But obviously I would have probably suggest perhaps if you're going to stand for re-election, keep that to your political campaign in a couple months' time rather than political posturing. Getting back to the, I'd just like to thank Kendall, getting a few small wins in inverted commas to keep the rates down to 8.4%. Just with the proviso, if in the long run though, what my experience though, it's always going to cost more in the long run. For the next time you go, it's going to cost more. But I understand economic climate. We need to do the right thing to do that. We did that with COVID. We did that with depreciation. It has to be caught up at some stage. So, but thank you anyway. What you're doing.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Any other questions of Kendall? Nothing further to add, Kendall?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone. This has been a real team effort. There hasn't been one person that has done it. One job. So yeah, no, the team. The team's just done a great job, and yeah, it is a hard paper to bring to you. You know, we don't like seeing these things too. We only ultimately want to deliver for our community, and it hurts us. So yeah, no, all I can say is thank you, and thank you guys for being there to help make these decisions.
Good. Thank you, Kendall. Okay, resolution in front of us here. Been moved by the Deputy Mayor. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Westman. Could I ask all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Yep, you'd like that recorded. Councillor Campbell against. Okay, thank you very much. The motion is carried. Item 5.3. 5.3, adoption of animal management fees and charges. Mr. Andrew Wilson. Good afternoon, Andrew.
Afternoon, Your Worship and Councillors. In front of you is an item pertaining to the animal management fees, which includes obviously dog control as well as some other fees that are set under the Impounding Act. As part of what you've heard just before from Kendall about keeping those rates at 8.4% and in conjunction with that workshop that we had where we discussed fees and charges and a direction of travel over approximately 4%, you've got an attached schedule to this report which outlines those new animal management fees. Those fees need to be set in advance of the others just to ensure we meet the legislative deadlines for notifying those fees to our community. The schedule attached reflects a 4%. Some of them are slightly higher just because of rounding. We like to not try and put on 25 cents or 10 cents here and there, so most so within that 4 to 5% range. So that basically reflects a fee, a general dog registration fee of $115. However, there is a discount for D6 animals, and the majority of our community have D6 dogs, so that actually pulls that back to $100 flat for a dog. And then on top of that, there are further discounts available for people. Obviously, in the working dog space, they have a separate fee, but also for responsible owners, they can apply to then receive a further ongoing discount annually to that registration, provided they maintain their responsible ownership status. I'm happy to take any further questions on the matter.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. Any questions of Andrew? Councillor Campbell.
Oh yeah, just a quick reminder. We went through this last year before last. My question was related to, correct me if I'm wrong, some of the fees hadn't been increased for some time, and we had is that correct?
Correct. So through the chair, as we discussed at the workshop, there's the previous set of fees that was set through the long-term plan. There were a number of those fee areas where increases had been deferred for some time, so that required a large increase to catch up. Officers are proposing that going forward, that we move to an approach of annualised increases, so they are smaller bite-sized chunks for our community, but more regular, so that we don't end up in this space where we turn up to the community and ask them for 25% increase on a fee or 30% increase on a fee, seemingly out of the blue, so that it's just a more regular, smaller amount that can happen and keep up with inflation. Effectively, what had happened in a number of our fee areas is we had not increased the fees in line with inflation or even at all. And so we were catching up not only for many years of inflation, but also cost changes in some of those business units.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other questions on the dogs? Councillor Shepherd?
This is a bit of an indicator of one of those trade-offs, isn't it? We could defer putting the fees and charges up, of course, but that means ratepayers are subsidising and the rates go up. So moving more to a regular increase, user pays, I think is a fair balance to be struck. So I'm glad we're doing that more regularly so we don't have to hike them up quite so much. Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Any other questions?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Greenslade?
Two questions, and I'll say them together so they don't have to come back to me. The first one is just a curiosity question. Could you please tell us what a pet therapy dog is and how you ascertain what a pet therapy dog is? And secondly, what is the rationale behind multiple dog application fee for more than 2 dogs in urban areas only? I presume that's a reduced fee, is it? So just those 2 questions. Thank you, Andrew.
Through the chair, so for the pet therapy dog, and unfortunately we don't have a compliance officer here to correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of that is that there is Jess is here, is that someone applies to have their dog considered as a pet therapy dog, and normally we require effectively a note from a dog. It's an animal that's for someone's emotional support, for example, if they have a illness that requires some extra support.
Has he got that right, Jess?
Generally, it's a letter from their GP.
Yeah, letter from the GP.
Okay. And
for multiple dogs, I'd have to ask Jess on that one.
The rationale behind multiple dog application fee for more than 2 dogs in an urban area?
Obviously, that's a differentiation between the working dogs and urban dogs in an urban area, and we discourage more than 2 or 3 dogs in the urban areas because of the general barking issues that can cause. So we ask that the applications are done as a separate.
Thank you.
Councillor Rankin?
Andrew, do you have any numbers of registered or unregistered dogs that are impounded more than once?
I do not have those numbers to hand, but I believe we've previously published a report which may have those numbers in it around the dog control. So I can find that report for you and confirm that.
It just seems to me that if they continue to be impounded, if it's done again and again, we should be really, really tough on that, especially if they're unregistered. I think we're quite kind. I know it doubles or something, but if you have that over and over again, and I get a lot of calls about dog incidents, which I get sick of, and I hope we are very tough in terms of those dog incidents. And I don't know what is applied when you've got a dangerous dog or a dog that's frightening, but I think there needs to be financial deterrence for that, and it's not something that I'd be afraid of increasing a lot at all. But thank you, Andrew.
Through the chair, there are other provisions within the Control of Dogs Act that allow our compliance officers to take certain other actions beyond just financial disincentives for dogs that are being used in a menacing or aggressive manner. So there are other regulations around impounding the animal, up to and including the destruction of the animal, depending on the behaviour of the individual and the animal. So there are other powers beyond just animals being impounded that can be used.
Thank you, Andrew. Any final questions of Andrew? Okay,
I'd just like to make a statement.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Leonard.
I just think, given our financial times, being involved with a veterinary organisation, the number of animals that are being put down, not through a lack of health, but through a lack of finances, I'll be voting against this because I think animals give people a certain amount of mental well-being, and under the financial current pressures, in 2020 we put a halt on rate increases, and I'd like us to defer this in light of the current financial situation.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. All right, is there a recommendation there? Do I have a mover? Yeah, Councillor Taylor.
I hear what Councillor Leonard says, and agree with her stance. I don't agree with the course of action we take. I note that this still only accounts for 30% user pays. The remaining 70% of the dog fees still falls to the general rate. And I get it, it's a no-win position. But I also note that when we froze rates some years ago, it took quite a while to catch up again, and there was unintended consequences whichever way we decide. So I hear what the councillor says, and, but I will be voting in favour of this.
You happy to move? Yeah, you did talk. Okay, and seconded by Councillor Rankin. Resolution is there. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Thank you, Kylie. Would you like that recorded? Cool. Right, moving on. Approval of submission on Waikato Regional Council's annual plan. Item 5.4. Philip. Good afternoon, Philip. If you just turn your speaker on.
Oh, sorry. It's the first time I'm in this room. So on the paper we are requesting your approval on the submission to the Waikato Regional Council's annual plan. I guess the main point that impacts our community is on the proposed new ratings for regional-wide public transport. Currently, this is paid through our general rates, but from the last long-term plan, it has moved now to the Waikato Regional Council, and they will be collecting the rates to fund public transport for the whole region. WRC are now proposing to split the rates, so you'll have a serviced area rate, which is $26.84, and an unserviced area, which is $11.50. So it's no longer everyone pays the same charge, but everyone pays the same rate, depending on their property value, but now it's going to be split between serviced and unserviced areas. Previously, when WRC consulted on their long-term plan, we submitted against or not in favor of centralizing public transport and rating for it. But now that has been adopted, and WRC are now consulting on these rates. We still think that centralizing centralizing public transport distances our community from, and our ratepayers from who's providing the service. And we also don't think that centralizing the service will deliver any efficiencies for our community. But in any case, that has been adopted now. Other issues we noted is around the mapping on who's going to be serviced as opposed to who's unserviced. We noted that some areas are located too far from public transport to be considered as serviced, while other areas we think that there is a bus service, but it's not of a frequency that would be considered to be serviced as well. And so for these reasons, we are asking Council to approve our proposed submission.
Thank you, Philip. Any questions of Philip regarding the submission? Councillor Greenslade.
Anybody else? Right. Thank you very much, Philip. I'd just like to register my very strong concern with Turangi being included in the serviced area for regional Waikato. I don't honestly think that Waikato Regional Council can call a tiny wee bus 2 days a week, which won't fit people who want to go up to Taupo in a very, very short time frame, as serviced. I think they've got an absolute nerve doing that, and I know it's only $26.50, but it's in the area of Turangi where people can least afford any increases, and we've just had very minor increases on our dogs, and yet this, if we put $26.50 on everybody for dogs, we have an outcry across the country. So I have talked at length as our transport councillor knows at this, and I have written emails and I have talked to them, and they actually promised to come and do a survey in the Turangi area. They promised the Tongariro rep group that they would come and do a survey of our transport, and that was, I think, 2 years ago, and we haven't seen them. So I'm very unhappy with them, would be a very polite way of saying it.
Councillor Greenslade. Any other questions or queries of Philip? Councillor Campbell.
You just to add that thing on Turangi, I'm a little bit intrigued. I mean, I've asked this question before in workshop thingies before, that the regional council can't, for example, do a targeted rate for Turangi, that they pay more and get something a lot better, because it seems kind of simple to me.
Through the chair, they only provided 2 options for Taupo, which are identical. Found it a bit strange that you propose 2 options that are identical, but yeah, that's not one of the options that is in their consultation document.
Councillor Taylor.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's not something we could throw in our submission to you don't think that we could throw that in there as a suggestion, request?
Through the chair, if council agrees, we could include that in the submission.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. Just following on from Councillor Greenslade's comments, reading through our submission to the Regional Council, I'd actually like to see the language a lot more robust and the points made a lot more firmly. I sit around the table at the Regional Council. Our local regional councillor is the chair of the Regional Transport Committee, is sympathetic to our position and understands. And I have spoken to those within the Regional Council who deliver the planning for public transport. To put it bluntly, it is Hamilton-centric, and no other area is adequately serviced, least of all Turangi or Mangakino or Kinloch, in terms of public transport. And as I've said, in the Waikato region context, there needs to be some lateral thinking around resolving the problem. Just simply putting a bus on isn't meeting the need. It's not a fit for service product that's being provided. So my plea would be, yes, we approve a submission, but the submission as it's read in the agenda needs to be beefed up more significantly to express our dissatisfaction with the service not being provided.
Cool.
And I'd love to see some emphasis around non-serviced contributing that amount for no service at all. So, yeah, I really struggle with that. Again, the rural sector paying for something that they've got no access to.
Yes, I agree. I think we need to get a little bit firmer about this. It feels to me like we're subsidising the needs of Hamilton, quite frankly. There isn't a service of note here, not fit for purpose anyway. So I agree with the sentiment that we need to be a lot firmer. Not that I'm saying that'll make any difference, but I think we owe it to our ratepayers to make it very clear that we're not in approval of what it is that they're proposing.
Councillor Greenslade. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Then I got the floor, thank you. I did attend one of the Waikato Regional Council transport meetings, and I did say to the person who was presenting to this, was there any bus service across the district that was more subscribed than the Turangi bus service? In other words, we were 100% subscribed on the bus service that they provided, and no, there wasn't. So I agree with Councillor Taylor on what he said. This is not the best interest of providing services that meet community needs and testing what communities are willing to fund, and they haven't done it. Even though they promised to do it, they haven't done it. So, yes, it seems like we're sort of all on the same page here. It would be really nice if they started listening to the people who are funding them.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just to add, the last time the regional council guys came around, I gleaned that in terms of who's subsidising who, I gleaned it was somewhat more that Hamilton are probably subsidising us because they have a lot more services and a lot more people, and we're sort of scattered around. So I wouldn't push it too far, but yes, I do really think that's my impression anyway. I don't know, but yeah, absolutely for Turangi, I think we should be trying to do something. Maybe just putting another bus on at the expense of every Turangi ratepayer mightn't be the best solution that everyone agrees with anyway, but it seems to be, for our district anyway, it seems to be a special case that needs to be looked at a bit harder. I don't know how we can put that through to regional council, but if we can somehow.
Have you got some suggested words, Philip, at some stage, perhaps?
Yeah, we could revise the submission to make it firmer and to include the comments by
Aidan's got the words.
Thank you very much for your feedback. We obviously write draft submissions guessing what you might want to say, and we need your feedback on what you do want to say. I think we've got quite a tight time frame to get this one out. So if you could approve our submission today and maybe delegate Kevin, the Mayor and Kevin, to approve the final submission, and we'll just do it through email in the next couple of days, I think we've got is our time frame.
Yes, 30
Happy with that?
is the deadline.
The concerns
30th
being
of April,
the
tomorrow,
Turangi service.
Yep.
The
We'll
Taupō
sharpen the
service.
language and we'll make specific commentary about Turangi.
The Taupō service, is everyone happy with? Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm happy to help wordsmith something, but it needs a complete re-look at the way the service is provided. At the moment, we are encouraging the service we've currently got to be tweaked. My view is it needs to be radically overhauled, not just change the tyres on the bus that go round and round, but look at a completely different model. And I mean, one of the models, I did have a conversation with the planner in Hamilton for public transport, is there's a reason Uber as a app works very well. How about applying a bit of lateral thinking to how that might spill over into the public transport area for buses? Not saying you do that, but I mean, just take the thinking cap that you've currently got off and go a little bit wider in how we problem solve the issues rather than just doing the same old, same old. So I'm happy to help wordsmith something.
Cool.
Can I just make a further comment on that too, just following on from what Councillor Taylor has just said? The government has provided $180,000 to the Mayor's task force, and this is to get young people who live in Turangi back into work. Now, most people will know and tell you there are very few jobs in Turangi. Where are the jobs? They're in Taupō. These kids have no chance whatsoever getting these jobs because they can't get here. And exactly what Councillor Taylor's just said about never mind tweaking the service. What we've got at present is a shopper's service at the very minimum. We actually need a service that works for our people, that can get our people into work, to jobs where they're available, and actually start servicing. There's a clue in the word servicing our community.
Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. All right. Okay, Philip and Aidan, thank you very much. Yes, so you've approval to submit the submission, just with the odd tweak as per Deputy Mayor's suggestions. New words up there, are they? I can't see it. Yeah, okay, new words there. Can I have a mover, please?
Through the chair, might buy a fight with Kirsty if Mangakino's not included.
Yeah.
I suggest you make it the Taupō District Communities. And just leave it generic at that. They don't name any particular settlement or area, just communities, and then go from there.
Yeah. Kinloch? Yep. Taupō. Very good. Okay, thank you. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Westerman. Mover. Councillor Rankin, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Okay, while we're on transportation, we have Locky Dock. Locky Dock location. And up. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, respected mayors and the councillors. This report is just to seek approval for the new location of Locky Dock. The first one being installed outside ISAT Centre 30 Tongiriro Street, which was very well received. So I understand I could bring this to the next roading committee meeting, but I'm bringing it now because big street bikers got numerous projects going around New Zealand. So bringing it to next month would actually push their projects behind, costing them a huge money, and which they have already bought the equipment. So basically we got two business models, media funded models and council purchase model. So with the media funded models, we have only a little amount of council expenditure just for the connection, and it's all been provided by the media. And the council purchase model would be costing us about 20 to 25 grand. So option one is preferred option, as that's how we did in ISAT Centre, to go with media funded model. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Nap. Any questions? Just regarding the existing one, have we got any stats as to anyone using it?
Yes. What I understood is, has it been used wisely? Is that correct? Yeah.
Well, it just, how many, I to be honest, I never see anyone in there. I was just hoping that, you know, there might be a bit of an education thing come with a second location.
So the big street bikers actually getting to install at least 5 before they come and do the seminar sort of thing to educate people how to use them and what is to use it for. Yeah. So if we successfully get this installed, we're probably looking at installing 3 more spots. Basically looking at Robert Street, where there is so much things going on, cafes, restaurants, so people can keep an eye while actually having their good time. So little bit education has been done already by the council to how to use it properly, how to lock your bike, and it's just free of charge and free of cost for them to charge it as well. So we looking to do furthermore once we get another few installed.
Can I just ask what the minimal cost is?
Minimal cost for council would be just for connection. So basically this side we're looking around 5,000.
Right, okay. All right, questions? Anyone got questions? Councillor Westerman.
Councillor Greenside, thank you. Just a quick question. I just wondered, thank you, Anup. I just wondered what the rationale behind choosing Pack and Save for the next one was.
This is from the community feedback through social media. That's the huge community request. That's where they want that next spot to be, because there's some people wants to bike to the shopping and do the shopping, but while they can't lock their bike, they're afraid they might lose it, it might get stolen. So this has been very much request from the community through social media. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell? Oh, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship. I was under the impression when we first looked at these Locky Docks that there would be no cost to council to implement these. I sort of agreed with it on that basis, but if we're looking at 5,000 each, we've just cut our long-term plan quite significantly to try and keep the price, the rates down. This is almost negating that, so I'm not sure if I'm in favour of 5 if we are having to spend $5,000 per Locky Dock.
Through the chair, it's not necessarily $5,000 for each location. It depends on where you can get the nearest power connection from. So basically, if somewhere at Robert Street, we'll be looking around less than $2,000. So it just depends on where you can hook the connection from. So basically, for the Pack and Save, it's $5,000, and I think the eyesight center was less than $5,000. I think it was just $3,500. So it depends on the location of the power connection.
Okay, I understand that at this point. It's just that when this was first brought to us, we were told there was no cost. So I'm shocked by that, actually. I thought it was at no cost to council. Am I the only one who heard that?
I think you're right. Certainly, yeah. Anyway, Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, I personally still take that as fairly minimal. It's not per bicycle stand. That would get up there. No, it's per entire station. Yeah. So it's. But my question, no, it's just the media, the advertising. Who has a handle on that? And per se, for example, someone takes offence at whatever's getting portrayed or advertised. We own that. It could come back to us. So, but we're not the ones yaying or naying the advertiser. So who is?
Through the chair, yes, you're right. It needs to it needs to come through the council for approval before they advertise anything. So we basically they advertising something. It needs to go through the council for the approval to get it on the screen. So basically, we managing it as well. Thank you.
So if anything, if it is on us, right? Okay.
It's like the big screen that we don't own it, do we? But the big screen next door to it, we approve what's going on there.
Yes.
Cool. Do we do it or not, Councillor Leonard?
So we've got the capital expenditure being $5,000 on the council. The rest is funded. What are the ongoing operating expenses annually for the Locky Docks?
So, it's all them. So we just cover the initial installation costs, operation costs, maintenance costs. It's all them. It's all Big Street Bikers.
So the monitoring of the advertising was done by the council?
Yeah, they come to us for the proposal, and we review it, and we accept or decline it, and then ongoing monitor would be them.
Okay, so that's an operating expense because we'll be paying those wages. So what would the expense of the reviewing of those items be?
Sorry, I have little knowledge on that topic, but I can get back to you. Thank you.
That would be great. And just any other operating expenses. So if there was damage done to it, who's responsible for that? End of life, etc.
Yeah, through the chair, I can answer that. So it's all operation costs. It's all them. So once we get installed connection, then running costs for the power costs, operation costs, maintenance costs. It's all Big Street Bikes. Thank you.
Cool. Councillor Westerman.
Just 2 points. Firstly, with the location outside Pack and Save, have we been in communication with the operator of Pack and Save to get approval? Because it looks like it's on a pretty congested little strip. And also when the Robert Street ones start coming through, they'll come back for council approval before they're being approved?
Through this year, yes. So with the packing ship, it's been consulted with the packing ship, and they're very much happy on the boat, and they're very much happy with that. And also consulted with the arbor trees, because it's going to be close to the trees. So those trees were owned by packing ship. So Big Street Bikes liaise with packing ship on that. So we got the report from arbor trees saying it's no harm gonna be to the trees. And with the Robert Street, yes. So we're gonna come to the council for approval.
Councillor Taylor.
my reading of the agenda is that all the operating costs are covered by Locky Dock. That would include any repairs and maintenance and ongoing. The advertising would be no different to any other advertising in the public square, so I don't see that as an issue. I agree with Councillor Shepherd. I was of the understanding these were free, but it's a $5,000 install cost. But I do note, unlike what we've just approved with the annual budget, this is from existing budgets, so it's not going to have any impact on rates at all. It's already accounted for and funded. So I don't see any big drama with it. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, what we're being asked to approve is actually the site and to put them in. Everything else is taken care of, if my reading of the agenda item is correct.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just to add to that, I think they look good. You know, they're very stylish and, you know, they're well obviously manufactured and that sort of thing. And we are a biking town. You know, the largest cycling event is based here. So, so I think, yeah, but I am surprised. I agree with Councillor Shepherd. I did think there was no charge at the start. So that is a new one for me. But I think as Councillor Taylor has suggested that it's already in the budget, so there's not going to be any change. But Warwick.
Through the Chair, thank you. I just had a quick look through our agenda papers from 21st of May 2024, the Rating Reserves Committee. There was a paper for Locky Dock stations, and in that paper was commentary around the installation costs being for council. All operating costs were to be done by Locky Dock.
Okay.
So it is in that paper, and that was approved
So it's in there.
21st of May.
Cool. All right. Okay. Any other further, Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, when do we get more?
Through the Chair, so we analyze it, how wisely it's used, and it depends on the community feedback as well. I monitor the social media, I read the comments, how people commenting on that, how they're using it. So it depends on the community feedback. So by looking at the eye center, we plan to go with the outside packing ship because it's been used very wisely outside eye center. So if it does the same outside packing ship, then we'll get more. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell?
Oh, so are you saying that if we want more, they're happy to provide them?
Yes, they're happy to provide them.
Oh,
I would say there'd be a reasonable capital cost for them too, wouldn't it? I don't know what one of them's worth. All right. Okay, we're doing this or not?
Well, I'm just interested to know, at the end of their service or anything like that, is there a make good provision? Is it a leasehold? What are the arrangements for the end of life? Because I don't want council to be having to dispose of anything either at their cost.
Through the year. So once we sign in with them, it will go into 10 years agreement. So after that 10 years, we can make decisions based on our plan, our review, what we're gonna do. So if we're gonna move forward with more installation or keep that continuity, and we can do so in their cost.
At their cost.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay. Just
Councillor Williamson.
Thanks for that presentation. With the licence to occupy, presumably the one for the eyesight will be done without coming to our Rating Reserve Committee. But with the licence to occupy, there'll be obviously a time set and a cost to them as well. Perhaps a nominal cost or some cost.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Just talking about the licence to occupy. Is there a cost? Is a term? There'll be a time set, like, and also a cost. Do they pay anything?
Yes. For the license to occupy, it's them. They will pay for it.
Is that being set, or is that negotiated, or is that being set yet?
So it's in the contract with them. So within the contract itself, when we sign the license to occupy, the agreement sets for 10 years. But any time before that, we can cancel that, or just if we not in favor to going forward with that.
apologies, just through the chair. I understand the councillor's point in that they are occupying part of council land, and so that licence to occupy does need to reflect that. So yeah, there is some further work for us to do to be able to make sure that appropriately reflects that. I understand the point. Yeah.
Yes, because that would then potentially go towards the cost of installation, and if it offsets that, then I'm a little bit more in favour. But if it's a continual cost to us for them to make a profit, not so much.
Very good. Thank you, Anna. Appreciate your detailed answering of the questions. Much appreciated. Are we going to do this? Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Williamson, do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thanks, Anna. Good to see you. Right, 5.6, classification of reserves under Section 16 of the Reserves Act. Billy. Good afternoon, Billy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Kia ora, elected members. Billy V, Kai Tohu Paparehia, Reserves Advisor with the Parks and Reserves team. So the report today is just a formal process to classify these recreation reserves in Kinloch. If the council resolve to classify the reserves, then I'll just go through the New Zealand Gazette and I can discuss any further things that need to be done with the legal team. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, questions. Councillor Taylor.
Quick question. I note that some of these are a little bit dated and have been sitting around for a while as, not reserves, open spaces. Given the number of subdivisions that are currently occurring in other parts of the district, have we got a process in-house to ensure that we're not playing catch-up on our legal requirements under the Reserves Act so that we capture all of these? I'm thinking of Naroto and some of the other subdivisions so that we get ahead of the game or we stay up to date. Yeah.
We're in early discussions to get a process in place for that. This is a lot of new information that different teams within council has recently, discovered. But yeah, there will be a process in place so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Any other questions of Billy? No? Are you happy, Mrs. Kinloch? Good. Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you very much, Billy. Good to see you. Oh, Councillor Fletcher. Kia ora. Sorry, Karen.
That's all right, Your Worship. Just a quick question. I was looking under the engagement aspect of the report given, and it stated that this is a matter of low degree of significance and of the opinion that no engagement with hapu affiliated with Mokai Marae is required. I'm just mindful of our commitments to both the Local Government Act and the Resource Management Act around any land management issues or reserve reclassification, that engagement is required. Are we happy that we're meeting those engagements, and also what is kind of like the threshold through which a decision on whether to engage or not is being made?
Through the chair, I've lost my voice over the weekend, so bear with me. I have engaged with Craig from one of the local hapu. He's reached out to me to talk about classifications in Kinloch and what that process would look like if it was ever decided in the future to reclassify a reserve. So I'm in, the educating phase on what that would look like.
Is Craig from Tūwharetoa?
Oh, apologies, I can't remember.
Yeah. Craig Ahipene is, my understanding is his store on Tahitanga. I could be wrong on that one, but yeah.
So perhaps if I just jump in here.
Yes, sorry, it was the question through the chair. Again, the question was just based around our obligations through Local Government and Resource Management Act. Are we happy that those requirements are being met through this level of engagement, or I'm just making sure we're keeping obviously ourselves safe, but ensuring that we're following the right protocol around engaging with the right people for these reclassification of reserves within the whenua.
Julie?
So I'm just going to check with Billy. This is a classification. This is tidying up in terms of classifying how they would be currently used. So it's not changing the purpose of the reserve. So I'm comfortable, but I'm going to look at Billy, that this is a process that we would not require full engagement on. If we were changing the classification or changing the use of that reserve, then absolutely we would need to be engaging. So I think that's the distinguishing factor, Councillor Fletcher.
The threshold. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Billy. Pretty straightforward and good question from Councillor Fletcher. Obviously, going forward, if we need to do another step in the process, we'll take that on. Okay, do I have a mover, please? Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Lachlan. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against, carried. Thank you, Billy. Item 5.7. Proposed changes to curbside collection days. Mr. Brent Aiken. Good afternoon, Brent.
Good afternoon, councillors and your worship. I will take the item as read, but I'll just make the comment that we haven't changed the collection area maps for 20 plus years. We've had some massive growth in the Kinloch, Acacia Bay area. We're struggling to currently finalise those collections on the day of collection. We need to make a move to enable us to be able to get the work done on time. If we decide that we don't want to do that, there will be an additional cost of a truck and a couple of guys. So I'm recommending that we need to make this call. It'll give us some flexibility in regards to making sure we can get the job done. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Brent. Obviously, the comms around that pretty important.
We'll be working pretty hard on making sure that our community is aware of the change. Yes.
Yep. Monday to Friday. Okay. Any questions of Brent? Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I had mine on first, David. I'd just like to commend you on this, making this change. I've been quite concerned for some time seeing our contractors still out at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I don't think a change from a Monday to a Friday is going to make a material difference to people. It's one side of the weekend or the other, and I just think it's the right choice to make. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you. Councillor Williamson?
No.
No?
I'll go. Thanks for signing, Brent. I just say when I first read the item, I was a little bit perplexed that, and I would have thought the collection days would be a contractual negotiation matter, not an issue for a solid waste bylaw. And I'm just so gap in my knowledge on that, and I would have thought that would be something more efficiently dealt with in a contractual negotiation than simply stick in a bylaw, here it is, take it or leave it. Hence the need to come to us now to approve what is a would have been a simple contractual obligation on the part of a service provider.
Yes, thanks for that question, Councillor Taylor. It definitely was a negotiation point in the contract. Our contractors are aware that they were struggling on that Monday and wanted to make a change. Our solid waste bylaw requires a resolution through council to make a change, so we've been forced into the space by our requirement for our bylaw to achieve that resolution.
Well, probably not for today, but can I suggest that if there is no obligation legally for us to do that, that this seems to me to be a bit of a nonsense, that we just do away with that part of the bylaw and just leave it as part of contractual negotiations, unless we're legally required to do so. It just seems to be a double step in the process.
Councillor Campbell?
Oh, I'm just thinking, to be fair, we're changing the rubbish collection day. It's kind of a democratic decision. That's sort of why it's coming here, rather than just being a note put in every resident's letterbox. Hey, your collection day is changing till Thursday. I mean, that's what I'm gleaning. I'm just
through the chair. It probably strikes me they're going to be busy on Friday, because it looks like my curbside might be a bit later, because that's when I get to Park as well.
So the impression I get is we are simply rubber stamping what has already been negotiated. So if we say no, where does that leave you? And I can see the contractor at the back of the room, but if we say, no, we're not going to do this, what now?
Well, the solution would be to pay for another truck and staff to provide the service on the collection day. Can I just ask your question around the bylaw? We do have other operators out in providing curbside services. They are licensed under our bylaw, so that sort of connects the bylaw requirement, making sure that the commercial market's aware of those changes and gives them due process to be involved in that.
Oh, look, I have no problem with the licensing. My concern is that we have a two-step process which seems to me to be clunky and unnecessary, and it could be easily resolved. If we're not required to have a bylaw, why would we do so? That's my only point. That's all.
The last one was 20 years ago, so yeah. All right, thank you very much. Just acknowledge Scotty Brown in the back there, the Enviro Waste representative here. You do a great job, you guys, so thank you, Scott. And thank you for recognising this issue. Right, do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Shepherd, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Very good, thank you, Brent. 5.8, Taupō District Council Performance Report. Julie, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Councillors. Probably no two surprises really what we've been up to. I think we've had a couple of very large items on today's agenda which have demonstrated some of the work that the team have been heavily involved in. Of course, during March we also moved into this beautiful building too, so lots on the go, and the report does also emphasise the end of the event season with supercars as well. So plenty for the team to be working on over this period. As per normal, the report's in 3 sections, the update from myself and the GMs, the project report from Panel, and then the finance report from Jeanette. Really happy to answer any questions as we work our way through.
Thanks, Julie. Good afternoon, Panel. Welcome.
Kia ora koutou, how are we all? Hey, look, I'll take the significant project report as read. It's your standard 3 pages. We're coming into the final strip of the landing strip for this financial year, so it's always exciting to see projects being completed and moving into their handover phase. I'll just highlight a couple of key changes across the portfolio, since a month is a long time in a project world, and so there has been a couple of small changes. Previously we reported the erosion control as one complete program, whereas in fact it's 2 distinct projects, Tapu Waihāruru being based here in Taupō and Kuratau in the southwestern bays. So we're now talking about them distinctly, and you'll see that in the risk and assurance project as well, where they have distinct budgets, distinct resourcing and resource consent submission timelines. Obviously, Te Whare Fit Out is now complete and largely handed over, which is great news, so it's no longer on this report as opposed to last month. Whangamata Road is also complete and in close-out phase. It's on the report this month, but you won't see it again. And Southern Trunk Main, probably one more month of that. There's just a couple of things finalising that final landscaping and some pipeline cut over. A couple of minor changes to the RAG status of other projects. You'll be familiar with crushed concrete. There's a small increase in the risk associated with cost as we go back to market for that. And also the Taupō wastewater treatment plant primary clarifier 3, there's an increase in risk associated with cost as we understand more about the design for that important piece of infrastructure. And finally, I must acknowledge there's a small error within the life budget for 204 Crown Road. It currently reads life budget of 10.4 and it actually should read 6.8, just like last month. So apologies for that. Questions?
Very good. Thanks, Panel. Any questions? Councillor Leonard. Oh, Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Panel. The Turangi-Tongariro Park has come under budget. How much under budget?
So that's a program of work. You'll be aware there's 2 projects. The first piece of the project, which is the drainage piece, run by Georgia, has recently been pretty much completed. There's a couple of little items regarding the clearing out of the basin, and we're still waiting on Downer for the maintenance plan. So I believe that they're nearing the final sum up there. With regards to the other piece of work, which is the one you'll be familiar with the fencing, that's in its early phase, and so it's gone to tender as documented here. It's too soon to say whether or not we'll be under budget for the program across the two. It's a good question though.
Thanks very much. Councillor Leonard.
Thanks, Penel. When I looked at the digital transformation, there's no upcoming milestones, percentage completed or life budget.
I'll just defer to Sarah for this one.
Yeah, so we have been reporting this through risk and assurance, and we've actually moved from a project to a overall program because as time's moved on, the digital team have had a lot of other projects that aren't specifically related to ERP but maybe in some form related. So we're doing a whole program of work that gets reported 6 monthly, I think, to risk and assurance. So given it's a program of work and not a project, it's kind of reported to you in a different format, but the full reporting for that goes to risk and assurance.
I was just going to add, actually this was originally not on this project update. We made a decision to actually include it to keep it more transparent, Councillor.
I see that, but it doesn't seem very transparent compared to the others. Can I ask why Link Road isn't on here?
Through the chair, that's a very good question, and I think we are currently in review for the annual plan, the large multi-year projects and road widening and renewals projects, and a rather large number of those transport projects are probably in that bucket of we're going to be reviewing for inclusion in the report. Certainly something I would take a note of, Councillor Leonard, in regards to your interest to see an update on it.
Very good. Okay, any other questions of Penel? No? Next up, finance.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll take the finance report as read. I don't have a lot of comment on it, other than we're in March, we've got 3 months left to report on. The costs are tracking reasonably well. We're within budget in most areas or just over, and our costs are under our other costs, and there's always a few things that come out of the woodwork near the end of the year. So once we get to June, we'll obviously have a much better handle on those items. But I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Jeanette. Any questions? Jeanette? Straightforward, that's good. Looks good.
I would note the capital program is looking like we're going to hit the target of 68 at the moment, which Penel didn't refer to in her report, which is very pleasing to see.
Great. Councillor Leonard.
You mentioned that some things could come out of the woodwork, as they often do. What's our biggest risk to this budget changing by the end of June?
What I meant by that was there is a lot of, there's some costs that we don't do until the end of the year. So there's things like vested assets, first time recognition of assets, any impairments and loss on disposals that occur. And sometimes, sometimes we don't know what those are. And the budgets for those are generally pushed to the June end of the scale of time. So it's just waiting to see what comes out of those, but they're generally like non-cash items.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
I think I've got the wrong staff member, but I'll try.
Councillor Greenslade.
We're tracking behind in rates coming in. That's not your field, Jeanette, that's Sarah, is it? I just wondered where
I can answer that.
You can answer that, because in your report in March we were considerably behind because of the 3. I wondered how that was going.
So the comment in there relates to towards our cash. So we made an estimate in our budgets that we were hoping that we would still receive quite a bit of money from people before we invoiced, because a lot of people have got APs set up, and we did a bit of a promotion to encourage people to change their direct debits up to the estimated rates value. Our estimates were a little bit light in that area, so we didn't get as much cash as what we thought we would. So therefore, the interest earned that we got on that money, we didn't receive. Yeah.
Through the chair, Sandra, it's covered in the org performance overview. So we are still behind. Again, some of that is attributed to the 3 instalments, and some of that is attributed to the current economic environment. So it's quite hard to exactly compare apples with apples when you do 3 instalments. But that is showing the graph of that. So our prior year's balances aren't too far different from last year's, but our current year balances are up quite a bit on the overdue.
Thank you, Councillor Lennon.
Can I just ask for some assurance, with going to the 3 instead of the 4 payments, that people that had direct debits, their direct debits automatically increased, that will reverse when we go back to the 4 payments annually versus the 3? Awesome, thank you.
Sorry, through the chair, they're calculated every year, so the team do a calculation. So the direct debits were changed for the instalments. Some are paid based on instalment, which that just reverts to whatever your instalment is, and then some direct debits where you pay weekly. The team does a calculation every year and works with the ratepayer on those.
And sorry, through the chair, the people that are paying weekly and fortnightly in that, we did a lot of work trying to get those changed early in the year before the rates were adopted, so that people weren't going to be hit with a bit of a upswing to catch up. So it's really only the ones that pay on the due date, and that just takes the balance of whatever's owed.
No, that's awesome. It's just, I know it hits some older people quite hard without understanding, so just wanting to make sure they're looked after. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions or queries, Jeanette and Pernell? Or Julie? Anything to sum up, Julie?
No, just thanks to the team. I think our performance report has come a long way in the last year, and really feel like we're putting a good picture of where the organisation's at for council. So nothing further from me.
Okay, thank you very much, Julie. All right. So do we have a mover for that performance report to be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Shepherd, seconded by Councillor Westerman. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Right, 5.9, Karen. Council engagements. Any changes?
Kia ora. Just the one change to note is that Councillor Westerman is attending the All of Government meeting in Wellington, but she's driving down, so there's no expense of the accommodation, of the travel, and also accommodation costs is not incurred. That was all.
And a friend. Okay, cool. Nothing else? You happy with those dates, everyone?
Oh, through the chair.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just a comment, and at the risk of sounding as if I'm politicising to Councillor Williamson, but I hope it doesn't. Some councils table a debate every 12 months prior to the April fees due for LGNZ or not. I mean, I've already put forth my belief that the 100k or so we pay to remain as members is poor value and even counterproductive. So I'm just asking Councillor Westerman, how will you be disseminating the wise learnings you bring back to us from Wellington?
Councillor Westerman, are you happy to answer that, or?
Well, you'll just have to wait and see, won't you?
Just with respect
Sir Taylor?
to the question and the answer, that question's been asked a number of times before, and it's been canvassed around the table, and it's been answered, and it should not be asked again because that is in breach of standing orders. So it's a null and void question with respect to our standing orders, which we've agreed to. It's been asked and answered, should not be brought back again.
Oh, sorry, through the chair, which question is that? I wasn't aware the question had been tabled for debate on
it's not a debate, and you've asked the question around feedback from attendant conferences a number of times, and you received an answer a number of times, and the matter should be left as is if we're going to comply with our own standing orders. It's a pretty simple matter, really.
Your Worship.
Councillor Williamson. Oh, sorry, Councillor Lachlan. Were you first?
I was just going to say I was happy to move, Your Worship, but that's all right.
Councillor Williamson?
No, it's true. I'll leave it there because I'll second it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Move into confidence, please, for the matters outlined there. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Greenslade, seconded by Councillor Shepherd. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you.